the two nations, right? So they last left off, it was saying, how did I come up with this? While I was studying, I came across a book by Henry Ford, the dude who made the Ford Model Ts, the Ford company. He had a book with 4 parts called The International Jew. He was talking about the problems he encountered while he was doing business with certain Jewish businessmen. His claim was that they were coming to take over the morals, values, and customs of the U.S. Okay, so this was published in 1920. It was real. It's weird he came up with that, right? Henry Ford harped on race and being in control in the book. This book was written in 1920, published by Dearborn Publishing, owned by Henry Ford. This was a 437-page book explaining how the Jews or the Khazars was trying to take, quote unquote, take over the United States. So it's in 4 volumes. Volume 1, The International Jew, the world's most foremost problem. Volume 2, Jewish activity in the United States. Volume 3, Jewish influence in American life. Volume 4, aspects of Jewish power in the United States. So I'm like, this dude tripping. He's supposed to be, American pie guy. Why he tripping? But I'm gonna read some of the things that he said. Pages from the first book, pages 27 to 30. I'm not gonna read it all. Don't trip. I'm gonna read some highlights. They should be informed that economic thought has been completely Judaized by means of a deliberate and masterly plan of camouflage propaganda. So he was saying that a lot of the economy was being influenced by the Jews. Colleges are being constantly invaded by the Jewish idea. The sons of Anglo-Saxon are being attacked by their heredity. You hear what he said? The sons of Anglo-Saxon are being attacked by their heredity. I am not making this up. This is documents. I'm going to send any of you guys these documents if you want them. The sons of the builders, of the makers, are being subverted to philosophy of the destroyers. So he's saying that they are the philosophy of the destroyers, right? And he's saying that the sons of the Anglo-Saxon are the builders, right? He's saying they're making the youth become rebellious. First, Jewish highest criticism in the destruction of young men's sense of respect of the ancient foundations. Second, Jewish revolutionary social doctrines. The two always come together. They cannot live apart. They are a fulfillment of the protocols and split to non-Jewish societies by any means. So he was quoting the book. He was quoting that book, "Protocols of the Learned Elder of Zion." It's a book that supposedly, the global Zionists have wrote that have world domination to take over the world. The central group of red philosophers in every university is a Jewish group, and often enough a Gentile front in the shape of diluted professors, right? So it's saying it's a Gentile front, a Gentile person in the front, but they're shaped by, but they have Jewish influence in the back. Bolshevism in art, science, religion, economics. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. Sociology and landmarks of our race students. Let the students know that their choice is between the Anglo-Saxons and the tribe of Judah. You hear what he said? Let the students know that's in these schools know that their choice is between the Anglo-Saxon and the tribe of Judah, not the real tribe of Judah, but he was talking about them. Let the students decide in making up their allegiance, whether they will follow the builders or those who seek to tear it down. So he's creating this picture that we are the Anglo-Saxons, we are builders of nations, but those guys seek to tear it down. I'm going to read this last part. It's crazy. The only absolute antidote for the Jewish influence is to call college students back to the pride of race. Wow. This book is also used alongside Mein Kampf with a lot of alt-right and a lot of Anglo-Saxon or white supremacy mindsets, right? They use this as fuel, as a tool for fuel. The fathers of our nation were the men of the Anglo-Saxon Celtic race. This is what Henry Ford is saying. This is on page 30 of this book. The men who came from Europe with civilization in their blood and in their destiny. The men who crossed the Atlantic and set up civilization on the bleak and rocky-bound coast. The men who drove north to Alaska, west to California. The men who opened up the tropics and subdued the Antarctics. The men who mastered the African Veil. The men who peopled Australia and seized the gate of the world, seized the gate of Suez Canal and Gibraltar of Panama. The men who have given form to every government and livelihood every people and the idea of every century. So that's false right there. Like they built civilization. No, they learned a lot of the civilization from the Moors. They came into Europe and taught them civilization, and a lot of the Greco-Roman civilizations were learned from Egypt, right? And they stole the books of Alexandria, but that's neither here nor there. I don't want to get into that. They got neither their God nor their religion from Judah. That's what he's saying. That's kind of weird too. They said we got neither our God or our religion from Judah, which is Christianity is based off Judaism, but true Judaism, Torah-based Judaism, and not Talmudic Babylonian Judaism. Nor yet their speech, nor their creative genius are the ruling people, chosen throughout the centuries to master the world. That's what he's saying. The Anglo-Saxons are chosen throughout the centuries to master the world by building it better and not breaking it down. And to the camp of race among the sons of the rulers come a people that has no civilization, to no point, no aspiration in religion, no universal speech, no great achievement in any realm, but to get. He's talking about the Khazars now. To get, casting out every land that gave them hospitality. So he said, all y'all doing is getting and taking, but y'all getting kicked out of every land that gave y'all hospitality. And these people endeavor to tell the sons of the Saxons what it needs to make the world it ought to be. They do not know who the sons are, of what race they are, and sanctions. But let the Jewish thought be labeled Jewish, and let our sons know the racial secret. What's the racial secret? The Anglo-Saxons are the greatest, the dominant, are the nation builders, so they say, so they think. You know what I mean? And so this book is crazy. This book is used by a lot of anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish hate groups, right? This is used, this ideology, like, no, we're losing control. And this was made in 1920. Excuse me. This is before World War II. After World War One. After World War One was 1918. I'm sorry, yeah, 1918, 1919, or whatever. We're going to that later, right? So I was like, man, why he tripping? You know, he's snapping. You know, that's just the ideology of the Anglo-Saxon back then, right? But then this is when I really said, man, there are two kingdoms. So one kingdom is Anglo-Saxon, the other kingdom. 1865, a Jewish Khazar man by the name of Jacob Schiff. He was from Rothschild, born in Frankfurt, Germany. He came to the U.S. in 1865 after the Civil War, age 18, with specific instructions. I'm not making this up. I will send you any of these documents if you care. But listen to me. 1, gain control of the U.S. money system. This is what the Rothschild and Illuminati want him to do. 2, find men who are willing to serve the Illuminati in the area of government, Congress, Supreme Court, and all federal agencies. So that means you don't have to be Khazar background, but you gotta be with what they got. 3, create minority group strife throughout the nation between the blacks and the whites. I'm gonna read 3 again. Create minority group strife throughout the nation between the blacks and the whites. 4, create a movement to destroy religion, with Christianity being the main thing. Because a lot of before 1800s, it was Catholicism and Protestant church. But there was a few other things, but it wasn't a lot of the other things like Madame Blavatsky and all of those people. They brought Eastern mysticism and Hinduism and Buddhism and all of that, but it wasn't predominant over here. A lot of them was Catholic and Protestant, right? So that's crazy. The real founders of the Federal Reserve. So we was like, oh man, that's some propaganda. Jacob Schiff teamed up with these men and a few other men to form the monopoly cartel of the Federal Reserve in 1913, which is not federal, and there are no reserves. We'll get into that another time. Okay, so this first plan was to get hold of the money because they already had the banks set up in Germany and other places. I got documents on that too. J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller, they wasn't Khazar, but they was real powerful Anglo-Saxon men here in the United States. Jacob Schiff, Max Warburg, and Paul Warburg was all Khazar men, right? To come take over the monetary system of the United States, right? And that Paul Warburg is the guy you see on a Monopoly to monopolize the board. That's what they based that Monopoly man character after, Paul Warburg. I'm not hating. I'm just doing research, and hopefully that we video and everybody else will let me post it out. Okay. Israel Zingwell is another Jewish Khazar guy. In 1910, a Khazar man by the name of Israel Zingwell wrote a play called The Melting Pot. Myron Fagan, I'm going to talk about him later, claimed it was propaganda to incite Negroes and Jews. It visualized how white Americans were discriminating against persecuting both groups. It was one of the early propaganda plays by this guy right here, right? He's on the front of Time magazine, right? In 1918. Another Jewish Khazar man by the name of Israel Cohen. This was the exact words of the Jewish Khazar Israel Cohen. This history led me to believe that the BLM and George Soros, another Khazar man, have the same plan and ideology. Oh, I can't even read the bottom of it, but I'm going to read it. Matter of fact, let's see, can I find this? I need to read this ideology. Look this up, 1912. Okay. We must realize that our party's most powerful weapon is racial tension. By propounding into the conscience of the dark races, and for centuries been oppressed by the whites, we can move them to a program of the Communist Party in America. We will have aimed to subdue victory while inflaming the Negro minority against the whites. We will instill in the whites a guilt complex for the exploitation of the Negroes. We will aid the Negroes to rise to prominence in every walk of life. I'm about to say this again. We will aid the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life, in profession, in the world of sports, and in entertainment. This was written in 1912. With the prestige, the Negro will be able to intermarry with the whites and begin a process which will deliver America to our cause. He wrote this. So on the surface, it looks like it's coming to help us out, right? But he's trying to pit the Anglo-Saxon white man versus the Negro, because we got a bone to pick, right? It was in slavery, Jim Crow, black codes. We got a lot of stuff going on, right? So we was very upset. We was very, 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 very upset. So this guy's playing this to come in and tear it down from the inside. Way back in 1912 before the First World War. Okay? And then that Birthing of a Nation came out in 1913, right? But I don't want to go into that. I want to stick with what I got going on. Khazar, led by Jacob Schiff, took over the Democratic Party. Okay, so the Democratic Party they had to come and take over one of the parties. Democratic Party was called the Poverty Party, right? Majority of people was Republican-minded voters than Democrats. They didn't have no money, they had no backing, but Jacob Schiff took over the Democratic Party. I got to go. That's a whole other different way how I can talk about the Democratic Party. This is how we got the left ideology with the Democrats and the right ideology with the Republican, right? So that's a war going back and forth for years. Jacob Schiff took over the Democratic Party, but rallying behind and funding it. Remember, they had money. They came over, they took over the banks, they had bread, so you can pump money into it and make it healthy, right? It was a weaker party at the time and was easily to take over. It was called the Poverty Party. NWACP, founded in 1909, funded by the Khazars. Remember, 1912, he was talking about that. That came afterwards, but 1909 was a part of Jacob Schiff's plan. This group was funded in 1909 with Jewish Khazar money. 3 of the 6 founders were white. NWACP, National Advancement of the Colored People, whatever it is, I'm not dogging it, was by Jewish money. Moskowitz, Henry Moskowitz was a Jewish Khazar in control of the group. You see him right there. Mary Ovington, a socialist. I'm not making this Words up. That's what, if you look up her stuff, it says she was a socialist. Oswald Villard was a socialist, and his son was the first male president of Planned Parenthood. I'm going to read that again. Oswald Villard was a socialist, and his son was the first male president of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is in our neighborhoods, right? It's the beginning of sterilization and abortion to the Negro. So if you have the mindset to help the Negro in one hand, but in this other hand, exterminate the Negro. If you have the mindset to help the Negro, but have a radio station, own the radio station, and nothing but killer music, how are you helping the Negro? If you are trying to help the Negro, but you own the record companies only producing gangster rap, how are you helping the Negro? Owning the privatized prisons, behind the 3 strikes laws, how are you helping the Negro? So on the surface, by the face, it looks like you're helping and aiding the Negro, but it's other things behind that. William Walling, a socialist, a progressivist, and he supports Soviet Union and Bolshevism. Wow, my mom trying to call me. I'm in the middle of something real interesting. Bolshevism and Soviet Union communism type thing, right? Again, I'm not saying what I am, who I am, what I believe. This is from Wikipedia. Type each one of those names in. So now we got W.E.B. Du Bois, Ida Wells. I love them, especially Ida Wells. I told you I'm going to get an Ida Wells t-shirt. Those are the people who really want advancement for the colored people. And then you got other people that's, oh, they're so benevolent. They're helping us. They're funding us. But they have something else in mind after, whether it's to pit us against the Anglo-Saxon, whether it's to push their agenda. Ida B. Wells later ended up taking on women's suffrage with Susan B. Anthony and some other ladies, right? So it went from anti-lynching to women's suffrage. Feel what I'm saying? So the funding of the Black Lives Matter is funded by the same people. On the surface, it's like, man, that's terrible. Black Lives Matter. But to bring in anarchy, destroy the country from the inside out. They got a different agenda. That's why it's 2 different nations. One nation is trying to build this country, I guess, and keep it, make America great again, keep it. Another one is trying to tear it down so they can usher in a new world order more so. Okay? I'm not making this up. Look all this stuff up. 2 platforms poster, post-Civil War era, 1869. 2 platforms. The Democratic platform is for the white man. The Republican platform is for the Negro. The Democratic Party campaign, post-Civil War era, is the Reconstruction era poster right here. So they put this poster up. Look how they got the black dude looking crazy than a mug. Post-Civil War, right? So the Democratic platform was majority for the white man and white people, Anglo-Saxons, and the Republican platform was for the Negro. But then later on, it swapped. It changed, right? So then, the Negro was predominantly Democrat, and the white man was predominantly Republican. But this 1869, this went back. So I kind of went back. You know what I mean? Almost like the Last Dance document. They jump all over the place. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go back to 1865. I like to go up in succession, right? All right. Other resources. Myron C. Fagan, he was a Jewish Khazar. Myron C. Fagan was an anti-Zionist, right? He recorded and printed many books exposing the plans of global Zionism. I have the book. If you want it, you can have it. Go on YouTube, listen to the whole thing. Man, please listen to it. Some of the stuff is an hour. Some of the stuff is an hour and a half. Some of these documents of these pages might be 40, 50 pages long. You are a scholar. Please listen. Please watch. Please read, right? Read this stuff. It's incredible. I'm going to send it to you. I promise. Please discuss it. Help me out any loose areas that are in my scholarship. You say, nah, brother, this, nah, brother, that, or brother, have you considered this, or brother, have you seen that? Help me out with my scholarship, okay? He grew up practicing Judaism because he was Khazar, but then later can converted to Catholicism, and he is a Holocaust denier. And they got laws now. If you're a Holocaust denier, I thought that was your opinion. But there's laws in place. You know what I'm saying? There's money. 12 under Barack Hussein Obama's legislation, there was $12 million given to the Jewish Holocaust survivors. They got Anti-Defamation League. They got lawyers in place. They got laws in place, right? Millions of dollars is sent to occupied Israel. Ever since it became a state in 1940, David Ben Gurion, 1948, right? They said it's fulfillment of prophecy and all that, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. It's predominantly Khazar and Global Zionists owned. Sorry. I'll get into that later. But a lot of money is sent over there. Over $12 million to the Jewish Holocaust survivors. You know, even if we just had, we own a lot of reparations money, but even if the Negro got half that $12 million reparation, do you know what we can do? How far we can go? It's been denied. That's a smoking gun. God say, vengeance is mine. I will repay. So it's like, no, I don't want you to repay because then it's going to have a price tag attached to it. It's going to have something attached to it. I don't want you to repay. I'm going to repay it. So that's kind of crazy. That's kind of scary. It's been 400 years, 19 to 2019 is 400 years. And you see what's going on in the year right after the 400 years. Because once the time is up, that's it. You can't hold it no more. When we went to captivity, Babylonian captivity, Assyrian captivity, Egypt the first time, when God said we go into captivity 70 years, we went to captivity 70 years, and it was it. We was done. When we was in captivity other times, once the time was up, once you served your time for disobeying Yahweh, that time was up. It's been 400 years. And it's not an AR-15, it's not a tank, it's not a law that's placed that can stop it. What Yahweh is going to do and what he's doing. That's a whole other video. I don't want to, I'm going long. Solutions to the problem, Myron Fagan. What happened to Benjamin Freeman. Benjamin Freeman, I got this book too. Man, his stuff is so powerful. But Myron Fagan, his stuff is on YouTube. Powerful. Please listen to it. I salivate over this stuff. It's amazing. Benjamin Freeman, Anglo-Saxon man, anti-communist, exposing the plans of the deep state. He's alt-right, neo-Nazi, and other groups use his writing to fuel the hate towards the Jews and non-Anglo-Saxon men. That's why a lot of times you see KKK be like niggers and Jews. I'm sorry I use that word, that byword, I'm part. But N-word and Jews. And it's kind of like, hey, what? Why you hate the Jews? What they do? They, but it's because they use this stuff and they know about the global Zionists. But there are innocent Jews. There are global Torah observant Jews. There are Jews that receive the Messiah, Messianic Jews. But then there are global Zionists, a small group of elite global Zionists that got a whole other different agenda, right? So, but then the innocent, quote unquote, innocent ones, suffer from it. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that's what's going on. A lot of, even after 9/11 happened, a lot of Arab businesses and Arab men would get beat and slapped and shot at gas stations because of that happened, right? Even this BLM, all this stuff going on. When Anglo-Saxons rise up and get upset, sorry to say, it's going to be a lot of innocent bloodshed, I should say. Innocent in the sense, there's none good but one, that's Yahweh, Romans 3:23. But I'm saying innocent in the sense of, why is he getting mauled down in the street? Why is he getting shot? Because he was black. They started a racial war. And, so we just pray for God's protection and divine guidance. Which leads me to my last point. What's the solution? Dang, DB, you gave a lot of information that was real, real heavy. That's a good question. We have to be in this world, but not of this world. And now here you go. Here you come with the faith stuff. You know what I mean? We got to be in it, but not of it. And Yahushua said, when I come back, will I find faith? When I find some people who kept the faith, right? Understanding the game that is played, I gave this information. understanding the players, the Anglo-Saxon and the Khazars. Don't waste resources on efforts in the matrix, right? Seek Yahweh for the next move and act uh, uh, as he tell us to act. We got intel or the enemy in his playbook, but Yahweh tells us what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Because we can go off emotion and we can go say, man, this side hate us, the other side love us, but it's not. It's not even about you. When you see stuff like this, Black Lives Matter painted down the street, name it Black Lives Matter place. This is a chess move between two kingdoms. It has nothing to do with you. Now, I hate to say that, but, and this is why I believe this, because of these different things, the racial strife that's going on. Both sides are hijacked. Both sides got an agenda. Both sides want to be in control. So when you paint big old Black Lives Matter down the street from Trump, you know, people are like, woo, we finally, woo, yes, show it, give it to Trump. You know what I'm saying? Because he's overt, but we don't understand the dollars of the covert behind the scenes. It's not all genuine. It's not all good. I mean, it's not all bad, but it's not all good either. All that glitters is not gold. And so it's not about us them making, it's about them making moves for this global reset, right? To bring in the deep state wants to have a country without borders, the Agenda 21, the New World Order that we've been hearing about so long, and we've been normalizing wrestling. They had a wrestling New World Order group, and that's what they really want to get to. But it's crazy, man. Let me know what's going on. I want to say subscribe, like, share. I'm just not going out to everybody. So those 15, 16 people that I sent this to, you are free to share it with whoever you want to. But I'm not going to share it out like that. Or maybe you think I should share it. Let me know what you think. All right? I'll holler at y'all. Perfect.